Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Ask Amanda Anything, my bite-sized videos answering your questions about resumes, cover letters, and job search strategy, that is. So on this episode, I am answering a single question. It is specific to nurse practitioners, and the question is, when should I start my nurse practitioner job search? This is probably one of the most common questions that I get, and my answer is always, it depends, right? There's really no one universal answer to this question, but I do want to give you a little bit of context so that you can decide when it is right for you to start this job search. Now, I will say that the job search and onboarding process can be a little bit longer for nurse practitioners than for nurses. And what I've seen as the kind of average length of time to find a job is usually between 3 and 6 months. And then the onboarding process of hiring and credentialing can go anywhere from a month to a couple months. So I think on average, most people are starting their practice at least about 6 months after they're starting their job search. And that timeline can shift based on how soon you start your job search and how quickly the credentialing happens. So as opposed to in the nursing world where you can kind of get your license and then go to hospital orientation the following week, things take a little bit longer for nurse practitioners. And that's okay, because if you're equipped with the information, then you can plan accordingly. Now, in terms of your job search applications, I recommend that it's never too soon to start outreach and connecting and making relationships, because as I teach, if you have taken any of my webinars or classes, it is really important to leverage any sort of professional connections that you have. The majority of nurse practitioner jobs are filled through referral or word of mouth as opposed to online job postings. So I definitely recommend that when you're in your last semester of school, you are working on your resume, you have that all set to go, and you're kind of tuning in to any of the relationships that you currently have professionally. What do I mean by that? I mean faculty, clinical instructors, preceptors, clinical sites. You're kind of getting a feel for what the job climate is in your area and anyone that you know that could be looking to fill a vacancy, because it's not unheard of for a nurse practitioner to get a job offer before they finish school. And then as they're sitting for boards and everything, the credentialing process is happening behind the scenes. So if you are using outreach and networking, which you should be, as a method of job searching, then I definitely encourage you to be doing that within about 3 months or so of graduation. Now, if you are looking at online job postings, which is certainly fine, I don't recommend that it's the only way that you search, but if you are looking for online for job postings, then keep in mind that once those vacancies are listed, they're pretty much ready for somebody like right away. So aside from the credentialing timeline, which they will know and understand, they are pretty much looking for someone who is licensed and ready to go. So in terms of applying for online job vacancies much before graduation, you can practice this, but it's not likely to lead to the best job for you, because those vacancies are, not only will they have a lot more competition because they're public vacancies, they will also be looking to fill someone sooner than later, and the taking boards process and the licensing process for NPs can be quite a bit of time depending on which state you live. So I definitely think this is something that should be absolutely on your mind in your last semester of school. And if you haven't gotten a job by graduation or board exam time based on these other connections that you've made, then certainly once you graduate, it's time to take your job search strategy much more seriously and be very proactive so that you hopefully don't have too long of a period of unemployment or unemployment as an NP. I know many of you will still be working as a nurse. So hopefully that helps. I do have a download PDF that is a visual of this timeline and also gives an outline of the different credentialing things that you will need to file, like your NPA and your DEA license and your state licensure. So I will leave the link to that in the description box for this video. So you can just kind of tap right up there, tap the link, and go download that guide so that you have kind of a handy cheat sheet as you move forward. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week for another episode of Ask Amanda Anything.